Hondo leaned against the truck, arms folded, eyes drifting to the tree line without really seeing it. "My wife and son went to our daughter's place in Arkansas," he said. "Just a visit. I had to work, so I stayed behind." He shook his head once. "Wish now I'd gone with them." The words sat heavy. Not dramatic, just honest. Joyce picked up on it immediately. She stepped closer, voice calm and certain. "That's not your fault," she said. "You did what you had to do. We all make choices with the information we have at the time." Hondo didn't argue, but the disappointment was still there, written plain in his face. Dink caught it too. He cleared his throat, shifting gears the way old men do when they see someone spiraling. "So what did you do for work?" he asked. "Before today decided to turn the world upside down." Hondo looked back at him. "Oil field. Drilling rig. 15 years. Dink whistled softly. "That'll age a man." "I never cared much about it," Hondo said. "But I couldn't just quit. Bill's house life. Takes money." "Well, son," Dink said, nodding like he was setting something straight, like Joyce said, "this ain't on you. Who in their right mind would have guessed a day would turn out like this?" Hondo let out a slow breath. He knew what the old man was doing. He appreciated it. Dink tilted his head. "So what do you reckon is actually going on?" Hondo thought about it. About Andy. About the radios. About the dead cars and the ones that still ran. "I don't know," he said finally. "All communications are down. Phones, internet. And from the looks of it, the newer vehicles don't work either. Maybe some kind of EMP or something. I've heard about things like that, not even sure they're real." Dink's face brightened like Christmas morning. "See? That's exactly what the aliens would do." Joyce groaned. "Oh, Lord." "Knock out the fancy stuff first," Dink went on. "Leave the old things running just to watch us panic." Joyce shook her head and gave him a light smack on the arm. "You and those wild conspiracy theories are going to get you in trouble one of these days." Dink grinned. "Hasn't killed me yet." Hondo almost smiled. Almost. Atlas shifted at his feet, still alert, still watching. Whatever had happened to the world, joking or not, it wasn't done unfolding yet. And Hondo knew one thing for sure. They needed to stay ahead of it. Annie stood on the front porch of the old farmhouse, staring out across the field. Her long dark hair, almost black, fell just past her shoulders, stirred now and then by a faint breeze. She was tall, beautiful in a way that didn't try too hard. Her eyes were green with flecks of orange in them, something Hondo had always said looked like fire. He used to tell her that was how he knew when she was serious about something. He loved this woman, and she loved him. That was what made the feeling in her chest worse. Nothing was working. No phone, no internet, no television, just dead silence where noise should have been. Annie told herself it was nothing, that things broke sometimes, but she couldn't shake the sense that something was wrong. She was still staring into the field when Cheyenne stepped up beside her. "Mama," Cheyenne said, "what's wrong?" Annie didn't take her eyes off the horizon. "I don't know," she said quietly. "I just got a bad feeling about this. It ain't normal for everything to be down." She finally looked at her daughter. "And you know your dad. He was coming this way after he got off work. I haven't been able to get a hold of him at all. Not once." Cheyenne gave a small, confident smile. "Yeah, but you know him. He's probably loaded down and armed to the teeth, rolling this way in that big-ass old truck of his with his dog riding shotgun." She shrugged. "It's probably nothing. Some technical problem or something. They'll have it fixed soon." Annie wanted to believe that too. About that time, the sound of an engine came up the driveway, rough, uneven, like it might give up at any second. Dylan's old beat-up pickup rolled into view, barely running on its best day. He parked, shut it off, and climbed out, walking fast toward the porch. "Y'all ain't gonna believe this," he said. Annie and Cheyenne both turned to him. "I was in town," Dylan went on, "and they had loudspeakers going, telling everyone to stay indoors and go back home. Said martial law was in effect." Cheyenne stiffened. "Martial law?" Dylan nodded. "They told people not to worry if the power went out. Said it was just blackouts from a power grid overload or something." He shook his head. "People were losing their damn minds. Running around like idiots. So I got the hell out of Dodge." The porch went quiet after that. And Annie knew, deep down, that this was no technical problem. Cheyenne shook her head. "Something's fishy about all this," she said. She was a real spitfire when she wanted to be. Mostly all bark and no bite, but she put on a good show when it mattered. She turned to Dylan. "What do you think we should do?" Dylan rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know, he said honestly. Then he looked at Annie. You talked to Hondo at all? Annie shook her head. No. And it's starting to worry me. I just hope he's okay. Before anyone could say more, Lane and Maverick came around the side of the house where they'd been playing. Lane was a few years older than Maverick, but not so old that he didn't still want to run around with him. Lane stopped when he saw the looks on their faces. Worried about what, Mama? Annie knelt a little and smiled at him. Nothing, baby. Everything's okay. We were just talking about your dad coming this way. Lane's face brightened. I hope he's almost here. I'm ready to play with Atlas. Me too, Maverick said. I love Pawpaw's puppy. Just not when he licks me in the face. His breath smells like butt. That did it. Even Annie laughed at that, the tension breaking for just a moment as everyone giggled. A few minutes later, two figures came walking up from the road. Tony and Ramona, Dylan and Cheyenne's nearest neighbors. Ramona had been a nurse before retiring, steady and calm. Tony was rough around the edges, the kind of man who spoke first and filtered later, but if you really knew him, he was good as gold. Ramona spoke first. Hey neighbors, how y'all doing? And what in God's name is going on out there? Tony didn't wait long. I've been on the ham radio all morning, he said. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. I think it's the flu. Tony, Ramona snapped, cutting him off. Hush. There are kids around. Oh, yeah, my bad, Tony said, then went right back at it. But like I was saying, it's the government doing this. They trying to keep us locked up like they did when COVID happened. But I'm on to them this time. They ain't keeping me locked up. The laughter was gone now. Whatever this was, it wasn't staying quiet. Hondo eased the power wagon back onto the road, the tires humming steady now that the city was behind them. Shreveport sat off to the south, low and hazy, like something already trying to forget itself. He kept one hand light on the wheel, the other resting near his thigh. Atlas lay stretched across the bench seat, head up, eyes working every shadow that slid past the windows. The dog hadn't settled since the ambush. Neither had Hondo. Dink sat quiet for once, staring out his window. Joyce had her hands folded in her lap, lips moving now, and then, like she was saying something she didn't want anyone else to hear. How far you reckon we are now? Dink finally asked. Couple hours, maybe more, Hondo said. Depends what the roads look like. Dink nodded. Reckon today's done a good job of showing us that. They rode a bit longer before Joyce spoke. You ever been shot at before? She asked, calm but curious. Hondo shook his head. No, ma'am. Been close to trouble. Never that close. Joyce nodded like that confirmed something she already knew. Well, she said, people don't forget the sound of that. Hondo glanced in the rear view. The shattered back glass was gone now, nothing left but jagged teeth around the frame. Wind rushed through the cab, carrying the smell of dust and burned rubber. Atlas shifted and let out a low huff, not quite a growl this time. I don't think that was random, Hondo said. Dink snorted. You don't say. They had lookouts, Hondo went on. Men on rooftops. Radios. That car didn't roll out by accident. Joyce's eyes hardened. They were hunting. Yeah, Hondo said. And they'll learn quick what moves and what doesn't. That thought sat heavy. The road narrowed as they headed north, pavement cracked and patched, trees creeping closer on both sides. Fewer houses now. Fewer people. Hondo preferred it that way. He thought about Annie standing on a porch somewhere, wondering. Thought about Lane, about the way he always asked if Atlas was riding shotgun today. Thought about Cheyenne's fire and Dylan's steady calm. He pressed a little harder on the gas. We stopped before dark, Hondo said. Find somewhere quiet. Dink grinned. Music to my ears. Atlas finally laid his head down, but his eyes stayed open. The road stretched ahead, empty and waiting, and Hondo knew one thing for sure now. The world wasn't broken. It was changing. And the ones who figured that out first were going to decide how ugly it got. The light was fading fast when Hondo eased off the gas. The sky ahead was turning that dull gray blue that meant night was coming whether you were ready or not. The fuel needle sat lower than Hondo liked, hovering just above empty. He slowed and nodded toward the road ahead. There's an old gas station up there, he said. We need fuel. Dink leaned forward a little. What is it, he asked. Sounds like there's a but coming. There is, Hondo said. Might not be safe. Dink looked past him, then back again. Well, what's the plan? Hondo thought for a moment, eyes scanning the tree line, the darkening road. We pull in slow and easy, he said. If something don't feel right, we leave. The tension in the cab tightened as they rolled closer. The station came into view, old, weather-beaten, lights dead, pumps standing like rusted sentries out front. No movement that Hondo could see. That didn't mean much. So far, everything looked quiet. He brought the truck to a stop and cut the engine. The sudden silence felt loud. Hondo opened the door and stepped out, gravel crunching under his boots. Atlas jumped down beside him immediately, shoulder brushing Hondo's leg. "Y'all stay with the truck," Hondo said, keeping his voice low. "Don't move." Dink and Joyce nodded. Hondo shouldered his rifle and took a few steps away from the truck, eyes working the shadows. That's when Dink spoke up. "Hold up," he said. Hondo turned back. "I don't have a gun," Dink said. "If something happens, I can't protect Joyce. Or the truck." Hondo hesitated. He didn't like it, didn't like being separated from his sidearm, didn't like putting a weapon in unfamiliar hands. For a moment, he wasn't sure. Atlas stepped forward and gently nudged Hondo's leg with his nose. Hondo looked down at him and understood. He reached under his jacket and pulled out his grandfather's old 1911. The metal was worn smooth in places, bluing thin by time and hands that had trusted it. He handed it to Dink. "Safety's here," Hondo said. "Point it only if you mean it." Dink took the pistol carefully, weighing it in his hand. A small grin crept across his face. "Dang," he said. "That's an old but dependable gun. Ain't seen one like this in years." Hondo nodded once. "It's earned its keep." Atlas stayed close as Hondo turned back toward the darkened station, rifle steady, senses tight. Night had officially arrived. Hondo moved toward the old store slow and deliberate, rifle held low but ready. That's when he heard it. Noise faint but close, coming from behind the building. He stopped and listened. Took a few careful steps closer, boots barely touching the gravel. Then he heard it. Click. The sound was unmistakable. A shotgun being racked. "Hold it right there," a voice came out of the darkness behind the store. Hondo froze. "What do you want?" the man demanded. "I don't mean you any harm," Hondo said calmly. "We just need some fuel for the truck." The voice came back sharp. "Well, we can't sell nothing. No power, no internet. Cards don't work." "I've got cash," Hondo said. "Sir, I just need fuel, and then I'm gone." There was a pause. Then the man's voice hardened. "Can't help you. Now get out of here before I blow your ass away." Hondo stood there, heart steady but heavy. He could leave, he knew that. But without fuel, Hot Springs might as well have been on the moon. His family was waiting. He was still weighing it when another voice spoke up. A woman's voice. "Dustin," she said. "Look at him. He's desperate." "I know," the man snapped back. "That's what scares me." Hondo swallowed once. "Look, sir," he said. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm trying to get to my family. I just need fuel." The woman spoke again, firmer this time. "Let's help them, Dustin. Besides, if you fire that old shotgun, it's liable to blow up in your face." There was a long moment of silence. Then the man sighed. "All right, Ashley," he said. "We'll help them." Hondo let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. But he didn't relax, not yet. The two figures slowly stepped out from behind the old store. The man still held a shotgun, though not as tight now, and the woman stayed close beside him, her hand wrapped around his arm. From the way she held on, familiar, protective, Hondo could tell they were married. Probably had been for a long time. Atlas stood rigid at Hondo's side, muscles tight, eyes locked on the man with the gun. One wrong move, and the dog would be in motion. Then it happened. "Drop the shotgun, you some bitch." The shout tore through the night. Everyone froze. For a few seconds, it felt like time stopped completely. Then it hit Hondo. "Shit, that's Dink. Dink." Hondo yelled. "Put the gun down." "It's fine." "Not till that turd puts down that gun." Dink yelled back. Dustin hesitated, eyes darting between Hondo and the darkness where the voice had come from. Slowly, carefully, he lowered the shotgun to the ground and stepped away from it, Ashley still clinging to his arm. Hondo raised his voice again. "Dink, put the gun down. Everything's fine." A moment passed. Then Dink lowered the pistol and stepped out of the shadows. "Shit, man," Dink said. "I just saw a man holding a shotgun on ya. Figured I'd come help." That's when Joyce spoke up. "Yeah," she said dryly, "after you dang near shit your pants." Dink snapped back like only an old man could. "Now I did not." Joyce raised an eyebrow. "I was ready," Dink went on. "Hell, woman, I wasn't scared. Just a little startled, is all." For the first time since they'd pulled in, the tension cracked, just a hair. But no one forgot how close it had come. A few moments passed after the standoff, and the tension slowly began to ease. Joyce and Ashley drifted into quiet conversation, their voices low. Joyce told her about what had happened earlier that day, the ambush, the bullets, how close it all came. Ashley listened closely, eyes wide now and then, while Hondo, Dink, and Dustin half listened as Joyce talked. When there was a break, Hondo looked at Dustin. "You think I can get some gas?" Dustin nodded. "Yeah, we got fuel. Just no power to run the pumps." Hondo glanced toward the back of the store. Behind it sat an old shed, leaning a little, boards gray and tired. "Mind if I take a look around back?" Hondo asked. "Maybe I can find something to pump or siphon with." Dustin shrugged. "Go ahead. Just watch yourself. That shed might fall down any minute." Hondo headed that way, disappearing into the shadows. Back by the truck, Dink overheard Ashley ask Joyce how they'd ended up with Hondo in the first place. Dink jumped right in. "We're bank robbers," he said proudly. "Just like O.L. Bonnie and Clyde." He patted the pistol in his pocket, like an old West quick draw. Joyce shook her head. "Don't listen to that old fool," she said. "We were on vacation. He just retired. We had a general store down in South Louisiana, in Houma. We were driving when our car broke down." "Yeah," Dink added. "Bet we sat in the sun on the side of the road for hours. Not one person stopped to help till we saw that big ugly truck over there." He nodded toward the power wagon. "That's when we met Hondo. He offered us a ride." Joyce finished it quietly. "And since we don't really have anywhere to be now." Just then, Hondo walked back up. "Oh yeah," he said, "I've been meaning to ask y'all where you want me to drop you off at." Dink and Joyce looked at each other. "Well," Dink said slowly, "we was talking, and we were going to see if maybe we could just ride with you up to Hot Springs. We don't have no way of getting back home. And from the looks of things, it might be a while before anyone's going anywhere." Hondo hesitated. Before he could answer, Atlas walked over to Joyce and gently nudged her hand, then stood there patiently. Joyce smiled and scratched behind his ears. "Well, hell," Hondo said finally. "I guess you can come along, as long as Dink don't try to shoot anyone." Everyone laughed a little at that, easing the moment. Everyone except Dink, who just mumbled something under his breath.